Hello, everybody. Happy to see everyone here. I see you guys all trickling in. We got a great, very exciting, very informative webinar in store for everyone tonight. So thank you all for joining us and spending your Wednesday evening here with your good friends at Patelco Credit Union. Want to go over just some general housekeeping things like that before we get the webinar started. We do have a chat feature on here as well as a Q&A feature. So what we want to do is use the chat for comments, thoughts, things like that. When you are using the chat, just make sure that you toggle it from hosts and panelists to everyone. So that way, if you have any thoughts or things that you want to share, everyone can experience your little nuggets of wisdom and we can all share in the fun together. If you have any questions or things that you want a little bit more further clarification on, things like that, we just ask everyone to use the Q&A feature. We can see that a lot quicker than kind of scrolling through the questions in the chat. So again, there is the Q&A feature on the Zoom little link there. If you can send all your questions through the Q&A, we'll be able to see those a little bit quicker. We'll try to get all your questions answered in real time, but if there's anything that we're not able to answer, or if we run out of time, we will just direct you to our webinar's email address, which is webinars@patelco.org. Any questions, comments, concerns, opinions, thoughts, things like that can all be directed to our webinars inbox. That again is webinars@patelco.org. Everybody who is in attendance tonight is going to be getting a recording of this webinar emailed to you. So if you miss something or you have to duck out early or you want to share it with your teens or your friends or your family or whoever, we will have that link that you can send their way to your email box shortly after this webinar is over. And we also are going to be raffling off 3 $25 gift cards for those of you who are attending tonight as well. The 3 winners of the raffle will also be notified via email, so just keep your eyes peeled for that. We are excited to share the wealth and share the love tonight at our webinar. So tonight's webinar is a very exciting one. I personally am excited to tune into this one. I know Veronica, our presenter, is very excited about this one as well. She's done a lot of research for it, was just saying she learned some new vocabulary for this. So it's going to be a really fun, exciting, informative webinar. Tonight we have Teaching Teens Digital Money. So we live in a world where money moves very quickly with a tap, a swipe, a click. It's never been easier to spend money. And in today's webinar, we're going to talk about how in this digital age of financial transactions, we can help kids really understand money's real value. So we'll go over debit cards for youth, we'll go over mobile wallets, in-game currencies, buy now, pay later options, all that fun stuff that the kids are doing. Our goal this evening is to help equip parents with practical tools to guide teens in building smart, responsible money habits so that they can grow up with a good, solid, healthy relationship with their finances. There's going to be lots of information in here. Like I said, Veronica did lots of research. I know she's very excited to share it all with you guys this evening. But before we bring Veronica out, we do have a quick poll that we want to share with everyone tonight. We are just curious kind of what brings people to tonight's webinar. Are you here with your family? Are you looking to, sit down with your teen or with your child and go over these financial topics together? Are you just looking to learn these skills for yourself so you can impart them on your kids? What brings you guys to tonight's webinar? We've got the poll popped up on the screen. So if you guys can cast your votes and let us know, that would be greatly appreciated.
We've got 21 of 34 so far. It's ticking up. Let's see if we can get it to about 30.
Yeah, go ahead and just click one of those boxes if you have not shared your thoughts with us already. I'm just curious to hear what is bringing everyone here on the webinar this evening.
Okay, Andrew, I'm going to share. We've got about 85% participation.
Beautiful.
Here we go.
Let's see what we got tonight. Oh, overwhelming majority, I have a teen. You guys came to the right place then, because like I said, Veronica did a ton of research on vocabulary, on jargon, on things like that the kids are doing to spend their money. So hopefully you will be able to impart this wisdom to your teen child, or at least kind of learn the ways that they are spending money and how it's working for them. Because I'll tell you, The way that money moves these days, especially with young people, is very far different than how it was for me when I was a teen, which, I don't want to age myself, is getting further and further away from today's present day as well. So thank you guys all for voting in our webinar. We are now going to bring out the wonderful Veronica. Veronica Dangerfield brings an engaging and thought-provoking enthusiasm to her webinars. She is our senior financial educator at Patelco Credit Union. She is also a comedian, a poet. She is wonderful. We are so happy to have her here. You guys are going to learn a lot tonight. You're also going to have a lot of fun with her great, exuberant attitude. Veronica, welcome, and thank you so much for being here with us this evening.
Hello, everybody. It is my delight. It is my honor to be here today on this very exciting topic. Now, it might be, your young person might be playing games or signing up for a credit card or taking out a loan or spending their first real paycheck. In that moment, they'll have the tools to make really smart choices. The habits, attitudes, and confidence they can carry into adulthood are being formed right now. And by teaching and mentoring them early, not just will we help them manage money, but we're shaping their independence. And we want independent kids. Shay? So we're talking about creating a financial future that they can be proud of. And of course, not only do we develop our missions for ourselves, we do this for our young people so that they can manage their day-to-day expenses financially, comfortably, and without calling you all the time saying, Mama, is the bank of mom and dad around? I need a little help. And then, of course, we have to be resilient because we know we're going to have 3 to 5 financial contingencies that are going to come up, and we want our young people to be prepared and also to seize opportunities to learn the value of spending money on what they value. And of course, at the end of the day, so that they can rise up. We all talk about being a parent. I also am the parent of 3 people. They're all adults now, but I was married to Officer Dangerfield. I call him OD. Although he was younger than me, I think he was raised in the middle of a dust bowl or the Great Depression, because we never had any food unless it had marked off 50%. He would not buy anything, I don't care what, unless it was on sale. So I actually have a daughter now that she glares at the clerk at Safeway because she wants to make sure every single penny is accounted for. My other 2 are a little bit more comfortable about money, but everybody's been on a budget because that's what we talked about as a family. We also love the movie The Wiz. Have you guys ever seen The Wiz before? It's the one with Diana Ross and Michael Jackson. And all of our family's philosophies came from The Wiz. When we heard something that wasn't true, we said it was the fake wizard. And the songs. So we didn't directly talk about money a lot, but we had this movie as a theme, an overarching theme of financial capacity, dealing with money, and thinking about purposeful shopping. So this is what we're going to talk about. You guys, I always like to start off with the experts. And so I'm going to talk about a book club. Then I'm going to talk about the dizzying array of digital options. I was flabbergasted and so glad that I was raised in the 70s and 80s, because there's no way that I would have been able to handle that much responsibility. Our children live like the privileged kings and queens of yesterday. They have so much available to them. So we're going to talk about a little bit about the past and the future. I'm going to talk about mentoring good financial behaviors. And I'm also going to give you a lot of tools so that you can mentor great financial behavior to your kids. So this book is called The Opposite of Spoiled. It is one of the best financial books that I've ever read. I personally read every single page. So The Opposite of Spoiled is a thoughtful and practical guide for parents seeking to raise children who understand money but aren't consumed by it. Lieber is a personal finance columnist and father of two, and he emphasizes that money shouldn't be taboo in the family conversations. Instead, it provides a vital opportunity to discuss values, responsibility, and gratitude. What he says is that you never lie to your kids. You never say we can't afford it. You always answer all questions with, why do you need to know? So he encourages you to be curious about why your children are asking. He has lots of great advice. Start early and be honest. Don't wait. Even young children sense money matters, and open dialogues that build trust and clarity. Use everyday moments as teaching, car purchases, birthday, the tooth fairy, and talk about the trade-offs in family values. And he also says teach through work and responsibility. Model thoughtful spending and giving, and counter the culture of entitlement. Being able to buy something doesn't mean you should. Teach children the importance of balance and conscious spending. This research that I did, and I have been researching this topic for the last 2 weeks, and it actually made me very humble. And I have to bring up my topic of financial compassion. There is so much access. And I know that even if we don't feel like we can, that we have to look at our own financial habits, go ahead and do this. There's something that's called the Dignity Gauntlet. And the Dignity Gauntlet comes from a researcher. Her name is Alex J. Pules. And the Dignity Gauntlet is the feeling of self-worth that often rises and falls depending upon the constantly shifting standards around possessions and experiences that matter in their own sacred world. What she says that is not having the latest switch and using a cheaper game and how it makes the child feel. Sometimes when you do a cheaper substitute, it makes them feel barely relevant. So she talks about making sure that we understand that teenagers are naturally curious, and they naturally ask a lot of questions, but greet that with curiosity and respect, and know that their social contacts do not go just from peer to peer. It goes vertically, because when they make financial decisions, are they get something or they don't do it, it impacts the social media they look at, it impacts the friends, and even your decisions impact the social group. So this isn't easy to do, but I'm telling you, you can be very successful at it. But respecting the child, respecting yourself, and knowing that you do not have to be perfect. Every conversation about money is a conversation about values. So the challenge is, teens often spend impulsively on in-app purchases, like the game currencies, the Robux, the V-Bucks, the subscriptions like Snapchat, cosmetic upgrades, and so on, which blurs the line between real money and virtual money, that led to unexpected charges. For instance, a mom reported that her child racked up hundreds of thousands of dollars in Roblox purchases. Some families have hit $4,000 in accidental charges. To combat this, Fortnite marker expert Epic Games settled a $245 million in refunds and has since enforced better protection like disabling automatic credit cards and implementing age-based limits. So it's really out there. And I know that it's difficult because we live in abundance, and there's lots of ways that the young people can have access. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So teens have a lot of hormones going through their head. Their frontal lobes are not fully developed. So they can't resist being impulsive. That is why we have to set up the limits. So let's go back to the olden days. Let's do that. Remember money when we were a kid? Money was physical. We could touch it. When we spent, we had loss aversion because it was immediate. And when we played a game, it was Monopoly. A Monopoly actually taught us about money because there was so much money available, and it had a little economics, but there was no computer games. I remember when I was a kid, I was excited about jacks and marbles. You guys remember trading marbles when you were a kid? And you thought that was fabulous. And the Yo piggy bank, that's where we put all of our money and try to break it in order to get out. And checks, almost invisible in these days. Something physical that you write on. But what do these kids have? Let me tell you. First of all, let's bow our heads and say goodbye to the old piggy bank. Yes, the tragic downfall of the piggy bank. My friend Nicole Pohl says that pigs are not known for their frugality. There's a lack of tracking. There's missed opportunities for digital spending. There's limited capacity and easy access for spending temptations. And piggies do not offer security. You cannot teach kids interest. That's what my friend from My First Nest Egg. So let us bow. Rest in peace, pig. May you go forth in happiness. Okay, so what is digital money? Digital money is the electronic or digital representation of value that can be stored, managed, and transferred using computer systems and networks. It exists in electronic form and is not a physical asset like cash or coin. It encompasses various forms, including central bank and digital currency. So all of us have a debit card. That is a part of digital money, but also there's Venmo. There is Apple Pay, which I believe is insidious, and I'll talk about that later. And then there's digital coins. And at the end of the day, there is Zelle. So understanding these, we're going to offer our children self-defense from capitalism. Kids are the most impulsive, so they need mentorship and protection from themselves. They need practice and they need mentorship. And the modern kid has access. So just think, you guys, back in the day, we had to have, this is a cell phone. It has universal access. It is a handy cam. It is a camera. It is a VCR. It is it has the entire world for kids to, oh yeah, it is a handycam, it's a Walkman, it's a Swatch, it's a VCR. Remember VCRs, you guys? It is a Kodak Instamatic. It is a pager, it's a book, and now with Apple Pay, it is a credit card. You don't even have to have your physical card with you. You just point your phone at it. That is absolutely scary. And then, of course, kids have access to so many types of food items. They have access to whole different worlds. Digital worlds, flare worlds, open worlds. These were not even conversation topics. And when you go to the world, into your world, you can buy stuff, you can imagine stuff. It's amazing. And of course, Kirby, so cute. Even little kids are going to be attracted to this type of modern access. But you guys, remember when you were in elementary school, you had a banana, okay? And what did you, that banana was your currency. And you went to the lunchroom and you used your banana to trade for the Oreo minis, okay? So now we have kids and their first marketplace is nothing unless they have a job and they want very expensive gaming. They don't have much power in markets of exchange, but society needs spenders. So they're all taught to want before they even have anything they can bargain with. They're at your mercy. So respect this struggle when you're talking to them about life and money. It's hard to remember what it's like not to have agency. Consider all the things you want to do now as an adult and that you feel that you cannot live without. And imagine being a teenager again, where the stimulation and the sensation of entertainment is more than any other human has to deal with throughout history. Again, they're like a royalty. They have relationships that are based on exchange, and interpersonal money is critical. So again, please be compassionate about yourself. Kids do not need perfect parents. They need people that will speak to them honestly, that will keep them in conversation so that they can learn how to make value-based decisions. So this was a new thing for me, and I know a lot of you parents are pretty well aware of how you can spend money on Roblox. You can customize your avatar for money. You can purchase game passes for money. You can buy developer products for money. You can create and sell your own items for money. You can do private servers for money. It's really insidious how when you get into these worlds, you want to create, you want to keep up with your friend, and it's really hard for you to control the impulses because you want to keep up with everybody else. And FOMO, the fear of missing out, is a physical pain for teenagers. And why this matters. This matters because 80% of teen purchase digitally. 80%. Their mind does not recognize that they're actually spending money. That's why they spend it so easily. They don't have the financial habits yet in order to make great financial decisions. And this gives us an opportunity to allow them to make financial decisions based on their family values. So let's talk about the pros of digital currency, because there are some pros. First of all, they are so convenient. They're convenient to have, and also they're convenient to spend. And they also allow financial inclusion. It can go across borders, and if you have a phone and if you have an internet service, you can actually participate. It allows them to earn money online, which is an opportunity while they're at home sitting on the couch. And also, they get a chance to get digital coins. So they're already immersed in this world. But the cons are, and the cons are a lot, you guys. The cons are, it can be financial inclusion, but also theft. There's so many ways for fraud out there, and especially when young people don't have the decision making, and there's a lot of bad guys out there, and that's all they want to do is to take money from our kids. And also, it's very untraceable. That is why some of the bad guys ask the kids to pay them back in Bitcoin. So, and also the volatility. If you use the Bitcoin and the Ethereum, you guys know what I'm talking about, and safety. So those are the cons, and kids are spending money without you knowing it. And what is happening is the computer is saving all your credit card information online, so it allows them easier access. Yes. So we're going to bring up a new word. And the new word is called spinception. It's two words together. It's the word spin and it's the word perception. And it is the psychological impacts of digital payments on consumer purchasing behavior and impulse buying. Spinception reflects the reduced psychological resistance to spending when using digital payments method as compared to cash. And due to the diminished visibility of transactions and the perceived ease of payment, it gets a lot of people in trouble. So now we're going to talk about some of the preventive measures that we are going to use. But first of all, you guys, we have to go back to financial foundations. I just taught a group of young people, and they were amazed to know that if they made all of their decisions based on a why. Why is the life energy that you need to take them where they want to go. You don't just spend, you have a why. And your why might be getting a brand new pair of shoes, which is also delayed gratification. Your why might be going on vacation to Hawaii. So you're going to attach your spending with a goal and a value. And of course, you have to have that critical conversation, needs versus wants. The needs versus wants conversation should start before the child is 7. Why? Because that's when they develop their financial personality. Do you need it or do you want it? And actually, it could be a really fun game, you know, but making that decision and understanding needs versus wants puts your child ahead of the game. And also, you guys, paying yourself first. Spending is the lowest form of financial health. It doesn't take any intelligence, it doesn't take any smarts to spend money, but deferred gratification and saving money builds your character. So you can teach them. You can give money away, you can save money, you can invest money, but the last thing that you do is spend. And again, you're going to get your little financial hug. You do not have to be perfect. None of us are perfect, but we have the wisdom because we have experience and we've done a lot. One of the family stories that I like to tell my kids is that when I was in college, I didn't have a lot of money, and I didn't have a job, so I lived in this man's garage. He divided his garage, and there was a bathroom there, and there was a room. I didn't have a kitchen, but I had the convenience of walking across the street to school. And also back in the day, remember when happy hour was prevalent, and they used to feed you full meals? So I teach about how frugal I was, and everybody's appalled that I lived like that. But I had value and I had judgment, and that's how I wanted to live my life. I wanted to spend my money being the international vagabond that I was, and not living in a nice room. So the first thing we're going to talk about is experimental learning. The skills that adolescent and young adults needs acquire by managing their resources and by engaging. The behavior facilitates develop not only of conscious decision-making skills, but also of the unconscious heuristics that are important complements to those skills. So let them make all the mistakes while they're in your house. Ask questions. Let them do it. Let them make the mistakes. Discuss it, and don't be judgmental about it. Just say everybody has the opportunity to live and learn. Another great tool that I like is a virtual credit card. Have you guys heard of a virtual credit card? A virtual credit card is an online card only issued by the credit card company. There's no plastic card. These virtual cards feature a single time use credit card. The number is created and it expires quickly. They're provided free of charge by the credit card issuer as a service to customers that wish to have an online payment with their card, but without risking the chance of online credit fraud. This temporary internet credit card is generated by software on the customer's computer. It gets linked with the main credit card number. The number is not traceable to their actual credit card or to their identity, which prevents hackers of untrustworthy merchants from accessing their data. I personally didn't know anything about a virtual credit card, but my 25-year-old daughter uses the credit card. This is how she purchases online. So that's one of the great suggestions. The other one is tracking with apps. So Cash App, you have to have your parents' approval to download it. Venmo, Venmo just now started their teen account, so it's not 18 anymore. And then Apple has Apple Cash for the family. The parents can view, lock, turn on and off, decide who can get money, and spending notifications. Google Wallet only works on Androids, and it's a tap and a pay. PayPal accounts have discontinued use for kids under 13, and you have to be 18 to use Zelle. So did you guys know that I think there's 7 to 9 different apps that young people can use. I've given 6 here. In the chat, come up with some other ones that you can use. I know Facebook has a app that you can send money with. Yeah. So combating online impulsive spending, simple but not easy. I'm going to give you some suggestions. And remove stored payment information. Unsubscribe from promotional emails. Disable one-click buying. Practice delayed gratification. And avoid social media. Now, that's great advice for your young people, but it might be a great advice for you too, huh? Yes, especially remove stored payment information. Hello, Macy's, you're out of here. And the other way to control it, dignified, respecting your young person, is prepaid cards. Prepaid cards has a limit that is built in. They're convenient, they're portable, they're accepted all over. Anybody can use it. They can be reloaded, and some of them are international. But, however, there are fees associated with it. And it lowers your fraud protection, and it has transaction limits. But the transaction limits is what we want. And some of them have where you can reload them. But isn't that a great opportunity, you know, that you can give your teens a card, then they have the autonomy to make the decisions that they need to have without any nagging or any begging. And then they can actually share with you what is going on. So what are we talking about? We're talking about being in community with your child, being a mentor with your child, laughing at all the ways that you made mistakes, so that they know that perfectionism doesn't exist. And we don't make mistakes because there's something wrong with us. We don't make mistakes because we make mistakes because we're human. So that is a great barrier. So what you want to do, you guys, is we want to give teens safe options. Instead of going and get that big meal at Big Mac, you cook a little meal at home and let them choose some snacks that they want. Affordability at the grocery store rather than McDonald's. It gives them options regarding choice. Multiple, minute offerings between having the money and spending it. Make them go back to this decision once it's done and after the dopamine is done. Because remember, every time we spend, we get a hit of dopamine in our brain. But what you can do is you can teach your kids how to have a dopamine map so they can look at the past, not in regret, but in gratitude. We can use some of the information that is prevalent in neuropsychology and financial behaviorism and give them the dopamine hit without spending money. I think about having a dopamine map so I can map out all my days with fun, you know, and I'm still conscious that I'm not spending, and I can always go to Earth, Wind, and Fire, because no matter what, it's September somewhere in the world, right? Do you remember? Okay, Veronica. Okay, we're going to have another tool here, a digital money contract. You list the platforms or games with spending and access. You use apps to track the purpose. You have digital goal setting, and you review the calendar and check the balances. So what we want to do is we want to take the shame and the secrecy out of money. We want to put everything on the table, and we want to look at money not as negative, but money as a part of abundance and prosperity and fun. And we want to also teach our children to be good digital citizens, to be respectful and ethical, to have a positive online presence, to understand the impact of their digital footprints, to develop critical thinking tools that they can evaluate online. And again, more tools. Think, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And kids love contracts. But if you give the kid a contract, you have to promise me that you will follow up and you will be diligent about this. Because what is easy to do is also easy not to do. You know, this is a long game, you know. But at the end of the day, when you give them the barriers, you create great adults. Because when children don't have barriers, they don't have boundaries, they become very cranky and miserable adults. So again, this isn't taken away from them. This is protecting the young ones that we love by giving them autonomy, allowing them to make decisions on their own, but protecting them against the bad guys. Even without advanced knowledge, parents can create rules that build responsibility. No in-game purchases without discussion. We're going to set digital spending limits. We're going to require waiting periods for digital purchases. Waiting periods for digital purposes. Some of y'all could use that for your own spending. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to call you out. Require waiting periods for digital purchases. Match savings goals with small rewards. I read somewhere that if they wanted something and they didn't purchase it, you tell them that you would give them half of the purchase that they did not make and put it in their savings account. These build structures even without expertise. So what are we doing, you guys? We're showing them that they can respect themselves and their money. They can be responsible, that teaching and understanding financial health concept is a compassionate way to show self-love. Not only is it a good idea to teach with love, but also to have your own respect by saving your own life. Why? Because saving money does that. Also, it's between parent and child, something that is so precious, and especially as they get older. Digital spending has a lot of emotion. Teach kids the difference between need and wants, how to recognize peer pressure in digital purchases, game skins, trending, NFTs. That money reflects your value, and how do you want to use it? Ask, why do you want to buy this? And how will you feel next week? Even without formal knowledge, these conversations build critical thinking. And sharing is caring. It has been shown through scientific research that sharing money, even with toddlers, increases their well-being, and they understand that life is not scarce. And when you share something, it only builds in yourself and in the other community. So a part of your teaching, teach children to give money away. The society needs it, and it makes them better citizens. And again, for the financial responsibility, do I need it? Will I want it in 24 hours? And does it fit my budget? Another question is, can I borrow it from someone? Do I actually have to purchase this? So there's so many ways. But again, I'm showing you that that you can bring money physically by putting it in jars. And let's talk about some other ways that you can bring it physically. You can use a thermometer, like they do on when they're doing the fundraising, the heat rising as the goal gets closer, paired with a pause bottom at the top. So they are counting it, they have something physical, and it interrupts spontaneous, impulsive spending. I tell everybody that their money has to have a GPS. Where is your money going? Otherwise, you're going to end up being a magician. And you know what a magician does with money? Makes it disappear, but it's not magic. So we don't want our children to be magicians. We want our children to understand that all their financial goals are set by their values. Now, this one is basic parental controls. Their software tools, their device settings, their monitoring on online activity, and their screen time management. Which one of these are the most important? They're all equally important. They all have to be together so that you can give your children the foundation that they need. And then there's something called a cash out. Cash out is withdraw a week's worth of want money in cash, physically hand it over for purchases, and then reflect. Did it feel, so 1 week you're going to give them physical money, the next week they're going to give digital money. So you're going to tell them, was it harder to spend? Was the physical money harder to spend than the digital money? And the digital money is easier to spend. And also, since the brain doesn't register that it's spending money, you spend 33% more. 33%. So alternate weeks between digital and cash to compare totals. Tangible money is harder to part with. Digital money can be dangerous if it's unchecked. And again, teach your kids healthy ways to deal with triggers. I call it knowing what your triggers are to affect your figures. If you're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or excited, you will not be able to control your financial behaviors. It's angry, tired, lonely. What is it? I have to think of what the acronym is, but if anybody knows what the acronym is, put it in the chat. So, and it's okay not to be perfect, because although your soul is perfect, you're having a human experience, and all of us are in it. It's not what you do for your children, but what you've taught them to do for themselves. They'll make them successful human beings. We want them to be independent. We want them to be smart. We want them to be able to control the impulses. I tell the young people, I said, if you can't control your mind, you will not control your money. And if you don't control your mind, somebody else will. And you will be a consumer and a capitalist. And you won't be sensitive to the environment or your ecological footprint. Use technology together. Explore these with your team. The banking apps, Greenlight, GoHenry, and Step. Budgeting tools with visuals. You Need a Budget, YNAB. Busy Kid, meant for teens. Financial games. Financial Football by Visa. The Payoff by Evie. Crypto simulators like Coinbase Learn or Stockpile for mock investing. Parents do not need to teach, just explore and talk through what they're seeing. Not only are you teaching, but you have connections and you're having warm conversations, and your kids are gonna remember it. I remember we were driving in the car once, and my dad told me, you always have to be kind to people that are less unfortunate than you. And I still remember. I remember when he said that to me. I remember that we were driving in a car, and that will never go away. And the other thing I want to say is, because I've had a teenager before, get them in the car together. Go grocery shopping together. Go to the mall together, because that is when they're going to tell you what is on their mind. You sit down at the dinner table, they may or may not talk to you, but if you're around them, you can figure out what's going on. And then another money flow chart. You have your paycheck, it goes to your debit card, goes to online spending, and then are you going to have a good result or a bad result? So I was talking to a young lady today, and she said that her son told her to go buy something, and she said she didn't have the money. She said, just use your card, because he didn't understand that you have to earn the money before it gets to your card. So you might want to have a few more conversations. Show him your paycheck stuff, show him all the taxes that you pay. But just let's turn the light on bright for financial conversations. We can't leave our children in the dark. They have too much at stake. And then the typical, regular internet safety rules for everyone, especially for your young people because they're vulnerable. Keep your confidential data offline. Check a website's reliability. Use a strong password, the two-factor authentication. Avoid suspicious links online. Keep your computer updated. Beware of free Wi-Fi, yada, yada, yada. Not only will you keep your children safe, but you will keep yourself safe. So if you have any preguntas, any questions, oh, this one didn't, this thing, you can send it to webinars at patelco.org or vdangerfield@patelco.org. There it is, webinars at patelco.org. And also we have so many resources for you. We have a YouTube channel. We have a podcast, Small Talks for Big Changes. In fact, me and Andrew just talked about travel, and both of us are like so happy to talk about travel. So don't worry, we got you. You need resources, we have them. Can you think of anything else you want to know financially? We will do the research and we will do the best we can to bring you the information that you need so that you can have the best financial life ever. I always wanted to be a cheerleader, always. But I have this real intimate relationship with gravity. I can't get off the ground. However, I'm your financial cheerleader, and guiding you through the wilderness is how we connect in community and support each other, right? Yeah. Okay. And also we have an offer if you're not a member, or if you know anybody and they want to join us, this is this referral code. And if they open up a new checking account and a money market account, it is fabulous. You can join the credit union. So I have talked my head off. Do you guys have any questions for me? Oops, I see a question here. How can you teach your family how to invest? I'm a trader on Robinhood. I think and teaching children how to invest is super important. You can start with your own investments. You can explain to them why you made the choices that you made. And also globally, have you sat at the dinner table and ever said the word S&P 500, a NASDAQ, blue chips? So bring the vocabulary in. And start talking about how you do your finances. Talk about wanting to have time freedom when you're older, so that so they can understand that $1 today is going to be worth $88 when they're old at 60. So absolutely bring your children into learning about investments. Oh, thank you, Samantha. It's been my immense pleasure. Andrew, where you at?
Andrew, oh, hello. Andrew is right here. That was a very informative webinar, Veronica. I myself do not have children, but I still found myself being like, oh, interesting. That's what the kids are doing these days. Lots of good stuff in there. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and teaching your children with check registers is perfect. My son was 26 years old and he was used to doing Zelle for his rent, but his landlord wanted her money early and he did not know how to write a check, because it could have made his life so much easier. So teach your children about checks, because there are going to be circumstances where the digital money doesn't work. So that's a good job, Mom. Good job. Any other preguntas or questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and have this webinar with Andrew and I. We're going to keep it going. We have, I don't know what's in September. Andrew's doing a presentation on all the benefits of membership. So please come back, and thank you guys so much for your patience and hanging out with us on this amazing Wednesday night. We love you, we care for you, and we think you're amazing.
Veronica, since we have a couple more minutes, we did have one last question just pop in the Q&A, and it's a pretty good one. Any suggestions on best and safe way for teens to track expenses so that we can like motivate them to maintain finances as a good habit for them, or a good habit for themselves, as opposed to, I guess, it being like a chore?
Yeah, so there was some apps that I mentioned that actually you can use to have them track. And also there you can do it physically. There's lots of ways. You're asking such great questions. I can't think of anything immediately right now because I went through all of them. But if you review the presentation, it has ways that you can track it for your teens. But I suggest at the beginning, don't do the digital money. Do the physical money so they can know the pain of when you have to release it out of your hand and it's gone. Not having a Cash App card linked to your checking, it depends on how much you trust your child. I know that I've heard some stories and they weren't very good. So it just depends. It just depends. Thank you for that amazing question. Oh my God, they're on fire tonight, Andrew.
They're always on fire, Veronica.
So have a wonderful evening. Thank you so very much. We're so very grateful for you. And we will see you 2 weeks from now for our next webinar on student loans. Bye.
Night.
Hey, thanks for watching. Want more financial advice? Make sure you watch the video here. And want to hit that subscribe button for more financial deliciousness? Hit that button here.